My sister shoved me through a glass door in a fit of rage. The force of the impact threw me into a coma. When I finally woke up, nothing was the same. She was bleeding everywhere. "Oh my God, what happened? Belle, what did you do?" I couldn't believe it. "I didn't mean to. She just makes me so angry," Belle whispered. Someone immediately called 911. I wasn't responding, and that was my life-changing moment. "Hi, I'm Jocelyn. People say being in a coma feels like sleeping, but that's not true." I could hear everything, every whispered conversation, every muffled sob, every excuse. For 3 weeks, I was trapped inside my own body, while my family exposed themselves in ways I hadn't expected. It was during those 21 days that I realized my sister Belle had been imagining hurting me for months, and my parents had been enabling her anger all along. Growing up as Belle's younger sister felt like living with a ticking bomb. She was 3 years older, supposedly more mature, and certainly stronger. While most older sisters protect their younger siblings, Belle treated me like a rival to crush. I remember overhearing her when I was 12. She asked our mother, "Why does she even exist?" She thought my presence had ruined her perfect life. My mother's answer still haunts me. "Belle, you're still our special girl. Jocelyn's just here." That single phrase summed up my role in our family. Just here. Belle was the golden child, beautiful, popular, and the star of the Lincoln High volleyball team. I was the quiet, academic sister who loved art and photography, constantly praised by teachers for being wise beyond my years. That wisdom wasn't innate. It was survival. I learned early to shrink myself, never to overshadow Belle, to apologize for even existing in her orbit. Only my best friend Tyler saw past the act. We'd been neighbors since first grade, and he noticed Belle's so-called accidents and the hidden truth. "One of those bruises, it isn't from tripping over your backpack, is it?" he asked one day when we were 14. I hesitated. Belle was just horsing around, but he was right. "She's captain of the volleyball team, hits the gym 5 days a week. She knows exactly how strong she is," Tyler said. What choice did I have? Every time I told my parents, they deflected with the same lines. "Sisters fight," "You're too sensitive," or "She's under a lot of pressure." The pressure excuse was their favorite weapon. Belle was always stressed. Academics, athletics, her impossible standards. And somehow, I became the target of her frustration. Everything came to a head when I turned 16. I'd been accepted into the Regional Academy's elite visual arts program for graphic design and digital media. I was excited, and I made the mistake of showing it. "That's fantastic, Jocelyn," Dad said casually, giving me a half-hearted hug while returning to his newspaper. Mom offered a lukewarm congratulations that sounded more like an apology. Belle entered the kitchen at that moment. "Jocelyn got into the design program," Mom said, already guilty. Belle's expression darkened instantly. "The Riverside Arts Academy?" she asked sharply. "But that's where I have volleyball practice. We'll probably never cross paths." "Perfect. So now you'll invade my territory." Showing off like always. "I'm not showing off. I worked hard for this opportunity," I replied. Her hand shot out, and I felt the slap before I could even process it. Burning pain exploded across my cheek. "Biel," Mom said weakly, "we don't hit in this house." "She provoked me," Belle said calmly, like she was talking about the weather. Dad didn't even look up. "Jocelyn, maybe tone down the celebration. Your sister's stressed about college applications." I pressed my hand to my face, trying not to cry. "She just hit me, and they told me to calm down." Mom sighed. It was barely a tap. Sisters fight. Tyler was furious when he saw the bruises. Document everything. Take photos, he said. I started a journal, photographing every bruise and injury, keeping it hidden at his house because Belle often searched my room. The situation worsened when Belle didn't get into her dream university. She had counted on a full volleyball scholarship to Stanford, but it went to someone else. That night, she cornered me in the hallway, twisting my wrist violently. This is karma. All your achievements, all your showing off, you jinxed my life. Bree, that doesn't even make sense, I thought, clutching my wrist. Everything bad in my life happens because of you. You're a leech, she spat, then shoved me away. The pain lasted for days, and I struggled to hold my art supplies. My teacher noticed. Jocelyn, what happened to your wrist? I fell down some stairs. I lied. She studied me carefully. I'm required to report suspicious injuries. Please don't. It will only make things worse at home, I begged. Her eyes were sad, understanding. My classroom is always a safe space if you need to talk, she said. The spring art exhibition was supposed to be my moment to shine. I had prepared an entire digital portfolio, and my work was being featured as the centerpiece of the school gallery. My parents had even promised to attend, which was rare support from them. But that morning, Belle was already in a volatile mood. She had received another rejection letter from a backup school, meaning she would have to attend Hillside Community College, a prospect she considered unbearable. Must be nice, she muttered as I pressed my exhibition dress, trying to stay focused. Getting everything handed to you while I get rejection after rejection. I'm genuinely sorry about the college situation, I said carefully. No, you're not. You're probably thrilled. Poor Belle finally fails at something, while perfect Jocelyn gets another award ceremony. That's not true. I want you to succeed, I insisted. Liar, she snapped, stepping closer, her face flushed with anger. You've been sabotaging me your entire life. Being born was your first act of sabotage. I can't help being born, I replied, turning away, trying not to engage further. The exhibition started in 6 hours, and I needed to focus. But Belle wasn't finished. Don't you dare walk away from me, she hissed, grabbing my shoulder and spinning me around forcefully. The momentum made me stumble backward. We were in the upstairs hallway between our bedrooms, right next to the decorative glass door that led into Mom's home office. The glass was thick and frosted, supposedly reinforced with an expensive geometric pattern Mom had specially ordered. But the impact of Belle's shove sent me crashing through it. Pain exploded everywhere, and everything went black. I woke up 3 weeks later in a hospital bed, my body fragile and my mind reeling. During those weeks, I could hear everything around me, the whispers, the apologies, the guilt. But my parents' words were thin and empty. Belle's rage had been building for months, fueled by resentment and my family's indifference. That time gave me a terrifying clarity. I realized just how long I had been silenced, how often my pain had been minimized. I discovered the truth about Belle's anger, the way my parents had dismissed it, and how isolated I truly was. Every accident, every bruise, every harsh word had been part of a pattern. The physical pain healed eventually, but the emotional scars were far deeper. My body recovered, but my sense of safety at home was gone. I understood that to survive, I had to protect myself, gather evidence, and build a safe space outside of my family. Tyler's guidance became invaluable. We documented every injury, every confrontation, every close call. I hid the evidence at his house because Belle often rifled through my things. By the time I returned home, the house felt like a minefield. Every hallway, every shared space, every glance could trigger another confrontation. Belle's behavior hadn't changed. The event only sharpened the tension. I had to navigate daily life carefully, balancing appearances with survival. Through it all, I realized something important. My voice mattered. Even when my parents refused to hear it, even when Belle tried to dominate and control every interaction, I had the power to bear witness to my own experience. My survival wasn't just about avoiding harm. It was about documenting the truth and preparing for the day I could reclaim my life on my own terms. Returning home after the hospital was surreal. Everything felt familiar, yet every space was a reminder of the trauma. Belle had not changed. Her anger remained sharp, unpredictable. The glass door incident had shifted the power dynamic, but it didn't erase years of tension or the way my parents enabled her behavior. I knew I had to take control of my own safety. Following Tyler's advice, I maintained a detailed journal of every incident, bruises, threats, arguments, and near misses. I photographed injuries, kept records, and stored them securely at his house. Every entry was a small act of protection, a way to ensure that my experiences could not be dismissed or erased. At the same time, I began taking steps to protect my digital life. Belle had a history of using technology to intimidate or manipulate me, so I updated all my accounts, strengthened passwords, and enabled multi-factor authentication. I carefully monitored any unusual activity and kept backups of important files, creating a layer of security I hadn't realized I needed until then. Over time, I also built a network of support outside my family. Teachers like Miss Harrison provided safe spaces where I could talk, express myself, and be taken seriously. Friends like Tyler became not just allies, but witnesses who could validate my experiences when my family refused. It was a slow process, but each connection reminded me that I wasn't alone. Looking back, those 3 weeks in a coma revealed the true nature of my family dynamic. Belle's aggression was deliberate, fueled by jealousy and parental favoritism. My parents consistently prioritized her feelings and ambitions over my safety and well-being. The realization was painful but clarifying. Survival required vigilance, careful planning, and the courage to assert boundaries even when no one else would. Today, I continue to pursue my art and my passions. My story isn't just about the incident with Belle. It's about the long history of being unheard, underestimated, and dismissed. But it's also about reclaiming my voice, preserving my evidence, and building a life where I am protected, respected, and free to exist without fear. I am Jocelyn, and I survived, not just the coma, but the years of growing up in a home where my very existence was a source of conflict. Bree, please, not today. Just let me have this one day. Her voice was sharp, full of anger. A day like you've let me have anything. The Arts Academy was meant to be my space, my sanctuary, but she found a way to intrude with her own design work. College was supposed to be mine too, yet everyone constantly compared her to me. That's not true, I said, trying to defend myself. Her hand shot out suddenly, shoving me with surprising force. I stumbled backward, arms flailing, trying to regain balance, but there was nowhere to go except straight into the glass door. For a moment, I thought about the custom door Mom had spent so much on. Then my head and shoulders hit it. The supposedly reinforced door shattered into thousands of shards. Investigators later discovered it had been installed incorrectly, using regular glass instead of safety glass. Instead of harmless fragments, the shards were sharp and dangerous. I felt the glass cutting as I fell backward into Mom's office. "She's bleeding. There's so much blood. What happened, Belle?" "I didn't mean to. She made me angry. She's always making me angry," Belle whispered. "Somebody call 911. Jocelyn isn't responding." Those were the last words I heard clearly before darkness swallowed me. But even in the darkness, I existed in a terrifying space between life and death, aware yet unable to move or speak. The doctors called it a medically induced coma to reduce brain swelling. But when they tried to wake me, I didn't respond. The head trauma was severe. Skull fractures in 3 places, brain bleeding, and major damage to areas controlling consciousness and movement. Dr. Robertson told my parents, "She's very fortunate to be alive." I heard every word. The glass had cut a major artery in my neck. If Tyler's father, a paramedic who was nearby, hadn't applied pressure immediately, I could have suffered much worse before the ambulance arrived. He saved my life while my parents froze, and Belle insisted it was an accident. 3 days into my coma, the truth started to emerge. I overheard my parents quietly discussing the potential legal consequences. The district attorney was considering charging Belle with aggravated assault. "Why should I be punished?" Belle asked loudly. "You always said she was the problem. You always agreed when I said she made everything harder." "We didn't mean for you to actually hurt her," Mom whispered. "But you never stopped me. Every time I pushed her, hit her, or upset her, you made excuses. You taught me it was acceptable because she was too sensitive or dramatic." "No, lower your voice. She can't hear anything," Dad said. "She won't be able to compete with me anymore," Belle said. The silence that followed was heavy. Even trapped in my coma, I felt the weight of their words. My parents' inaction. Tyler visited every day, sitting beside my bed, updating me on school, the exhibition I had missed, and the criminal investigation. "They found your journal at my house," he said. "Your parents handed everything to the police. Photographs, notes, all of it. Belle's lawyer claims it's fabricated, but too many witnesses confirm it. Teachers, neighbors, friends." He gently squeezed my hand. "She's going to face consequences, Joss. And your parents are being investigated too, for neglect and failure to protect a minor." The spring art exhibition was supposed to be my moment to shine. I had prepared an entire digital portfolio, and my work was being featured as the centerpiece of the school gallery. My parents had even promised to attend, which was rare support from them. But that morning, Belle was already upset. She had received another rejection letter from a backup school, meaning she would have to attend Hillside Community College, a prospect she considered disappointing. "Must be nice," she said as I prepared my exhibition dress, "getting recognition while I face rejection after rejection." "I'm truly sorry about the college situation," I said carefully. "No, you're probably pleased. Poor Belle struggles while perfect Jocelyn gets another award ceremony," she replied. "That's not true. I want you to succeed," I insisted. "Liar," she said, stepping closer, her face flushed with anger. "You've been making things difficult for me your entire life. Being born was your first act against me." "I can't help being born," I replied, turning away, trying not to engage further. The exhibition started in 6 hours, and I needed to focus. But Belle didn't stop. She grabbed my shoulder and spun me around forcefully. The momentum made me stumble backward. We were in the upstairs hallway between our bedrooms, right next to the decorative glass door that led into Mom's home office. The glass was thick and frosted, supposedly reinforced with a special design. but the impact sent me crashing through it. Pain shot through my body as the glass shattered. I fell into Mom's office, surrounded by dangerous shards. I went into a medically induced coma to reduce swelling in my brain. The doctors told my parents the head trauma was severe. Skull fractures in 3 places, brain bleeding, and damage to regions controlling movement and consciousness. They said I was extremely fortunate to survive. Tyler's father, a trained paramedic, had helped immediately at the scene, applying pressure and saving my life before the ambulance arrived. My parents were in shock, and Belle insisted it was an accident. During the coma, I could hear everything. 3 days in, Belle's true feelings began to surface. I overheard my parents discussing potential legal consequences while Belle argued, "Why should I be punished? You always said she caused problems. You always agreed with me." "We didn't mean for you to actually hurt her," Mom replied softly. "But you never stopped me. Every time I upset her, you excused it. You taught me it was okay because she was too sensitive. But you never stopped me. Every time I upset her, you excused it. You taught me it was okay because she was too sensitive." "Belle, lower your voice. She can't hear us," Dad said. "She won't be able to compete with me anymore," Belle said. Even in the coma, I felt the weight of their words. My parents' inaction had contributed to the situation, and I was paying the ultimate price. Tyler visited daily, updating me on school, the exhibition I had missed, and the investigation. "They found your journal at my house," he said. "Your parents handed everything over, photographs, notes, all of it. Belle's lawyer says it's fabricated, but too many witnesses, teachers, neighbors, and friends confirm the truth." He gently squeezed my hand. "She's going to face consequences, Joss, and your parents are being investigated too, for neglect and failure to protect a minor." While I remained in a coma, the legal process moved forward. Belle was formally charged with aggravated assault. The incorrectly installed door played a role in the case, showing gross negligence on my parents' part and contributing to the severity of my injuries. The charges against Belle were serious, reflecting the danger caused by the accident. Tyler continued updating me daily, reading from his detailed notes. Teachers, neighbors, and friends testified about incidents over the years, and my journal provided extensive documentation. The jury had a complete picture of the pattern of abuse. Eventually, they found Belle guilty on all counts. She faced a minimum of 15 years in prison. Waking from the coma was slow and painful. First came brief moments of awareness, then the ability to respond, followed by weeks of therapy to regain speech and movement. My first word was Tyler's name. He cried, overwhelmed with relief. He had been my protector, my confidant, my friend. My parents, however, were distant and hesitant. When they expressed regret, I turned away. The physical recovery was extremely challenging, relearning basic movements, dealing with memory gaps, and enduring frequent headaches. But the emotional recovery was even harder. A social worker, Angela, was assigned to help with my case. Given the circumstances, my Aunt Patricia offered to take me in. I accepted immediately. Living with her provided safety and support for the first time in years. My parents had no grounds to challenge the arrangement after being found guilty of neglect. Belle's sentencing resulted in 15 years in prison with eligibility for parole after 10. She was 21 at the time, meaning her future prospects, including college and career opportunities, were dramatically altered. I chose not to attend the sentencing, letting my journal speak for me. The judge read excerpts, highlighting the years of documented abuse. Life with Aunt Patricia felt like freedom. No fear, No excuses for violence, just support and space to heal. I continued my education despite challenges from my brain injury. My spatial awareness was affected, but I discovered a new path: art therapy for trauma survivors. My experiences gave me insight to help others express and heal through creativity. I graduated high school with honors a year later than planned, and eventually went to college where I could define myself outside of past trauma. My parents attempted reconciliation, but I maintained boundaries. I walked away with Tyler and Aunt Patricia supporting me, the family I truly trusted. Later, I received a letter from Belle in prison. She expressed blame but no responsibility. I kept it as a reminder, not of her anger, but of how far I had come. I had built a life full of meaning and purpose, dedicated in part to helping teenagers recovering from injuries like mine. I worked with them through art therapy, showing them that survival and healing were possible. One girl, Amber, reminded me of myself, young, quiet, still recovering, yet creating something beautiful. I told her, art remembers even when we can't. It lives in parts of the brain that violence can't always reach. The day she completed her first full painting since her injury, we both cried. Despite the obstacles, she was creating, healing, and reclaiming her voice. That became my guiding principle. When someone tries to destroy you but instead harms themselves, your peace comes not from forgiveness, but from living a life so meaningful that their absence doesn't hold you back. I built that life. Every day I wake up and choose myself. I survived, I healed, and I thrive.